Hi, Amber.
Hi, Megan.
Welcome to Bad Movies Rock.
Thank you, Megan. Megan, welcome to Bad Movies Rock, where I am thinking about bug butts.
Okay.
The butts of bugs. Specific bug butts, actually. Specific bug butts.
Which bug butts are you thinking about?
Well, it's the summertime when we be recording this. And I don't know why I slipped into pirate.
Who knows why?
But I embraced it. And you know how when you live in certain areas, you get pretty lights from bug butts. From the, do you call them lightning bugs or fireflies?
Lightning bugs.
I call them lightning bugs too. Do you think that's regional?
I think there is a regional thing about it. And yeah.
I mean, either way, it's right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're establishing that lightning bugs is the correct terminology for the, not so pretty insects that at night when they light up in that beautiful green glow, gorgeous, magical, haunting.
You mean that perfectly white, perfectly round glow?
Perfectly white, round glow, as Anaconda showed us in the deep Amazon. Those are specifically Amazonian lightning bugs.
That's
and
true.
I would accept if they call them
Different
fireflies, since they're so very different from the cool green on and off blinky blinks of the bug butts here in the Northeast. I loved fireflies when I was younger. I used to catch them very carefully. I've heard some people talk about how they used to smash them and like smear. Oh, that's disturbing. No, you got to be careful. Upsetting. You got to be gentle. You catch them and then you put them in a jar with some leaves and stuff to simulate their natural environment of captivity. And then you decide which room they're going in, because if you have a sibling, you catch them all together and then you have to decide who gets the lightning bugs that night. And then you release them in the morning. And they have a fun story to tell their mate when they show up the next day. Like, baby, I'm so sorry. I saw you blinking. I saw you blinking and I put on a good show for you and I was headed that way. And then this flesh mitt just came out of nowhere, stuck me in this environment that seemed like my environment, only wasn't. And then I'm just out again. I swear. I guess aliens, I'm sorry. You still want to make some eggs together, baby? I am still into it.
Yeah, wow, that's beautiful, Amber. Yeah.
But I am always rooting for the firefly. I have a lot of affection for the firefly. And I went into my room last night and I just saw this like dull green glow on the floor. And when I turned on the light, it was like a dying firefly with its butt still just eking out just enough of a green luminescence to register that it once was a magical butt glowing creature that I was sad to see go.
Yeah. Oh,
and so I'm filled with a little, nostalgic ennui. And I'm sad that, maybe that dude didn't get to find his sweet, sweet butt glowing honey before he passed.
Or maybe they did. And this is the, it's like the mother octopus who, lays eggs.
Don't bring up the mama octopuses.
Sorry. But maybe its job was done, Amber. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, I like that your girl is just putting it all out there to bring the next generation of octopuses into the world, because we need that. Octopuses are baller. I have said it before. I will say it again. Look at some pictures of female Cape octopuses, people, and then read about what they do. Okay? Yeah. I know I've said it, but I'm going to say it. But, yeah. No, it's fair.
I just thought I'd add to your ennui there, Amber.
Addition accomplished.
Yay. Why, let's see. Is there any particular connection you can think of?
I mean, in that I was talking about something that happened to me last night to you today that I thought you would care about. I don't know why we need to make a segue, but okay, sure. There's also a character called Firefly that uses explosive fireflies in this movie that we watched. Are you happy now, Megan? Do you feel good about yourself?
Yeah, they had like cylindrical butts.
I mean, how are you going to make it all rounded and still explosive?
Yeah, those for something so tiny, they exploded impressively.
So impressively. I mean, it was... They must have been jam-packed with, I don't know, ultra-concentrated C4. Can you just reduce C4 the way you reduce balsamic vinegar, to create glaze?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, you just...
Sort of a low simmer.
Put it on the stove for a while.
Reduce it down, and then you can put it in a tiny little bug butt cylinder that still glows. It still glows.
You've got to make it glow, Amber. How else would you fool people to thinking they were fireflies?
Before they blew up everything in like a 6-foot radius.
Yeah, pretty great.
Megan, We are continuing our toy movie odyssey
Yes, we are.
with the fine sequel to G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Yes, Amber. It is the 2013.
It's a 2013 G.I. Joe Retaliation, the only G.I. Joe Retaliation, you fucking monster.
I don't know why all this just anger is directed at me, Amber.
Don't you smile at me. You don't even deserve this game of witches, which is why it's going to be a subpar game of witches. Okay. You brought this on yourself.
Okay.
So let's fucking play the game, Megan.
All right, let's do this.
We do summaries from IMDb, Metacritic, Amazon, and Amber, and you'll tell me which is which.
All right, let's get it over with.
Whatever. The G.I. Joes are not only fighting their mortal enemy Cobra, they are forced to contend with threats from within the government that jeopardize their very existence.
Okay.
The G.I. Joes are not only fighting their mortal enemy Cobra, they are forced to contend with threats from within the government that jeopardize their very existence.
Okay.
In this sequel, the G.I. Joes are not only fighting their mortal enemy Cobra, they're forced to contend with threats within the government that jeopardize their very existence.
Okay. Great.
The G.I. Joes are... I'm kidding. The fake president blows up almost all the G.I. Joes. A very dead Storm Shadow busts Cobra Commander out of the secret supervillain prison so he can take over Cobra's efforts to rule the world with space rods and nuclear disarmament. Can 4 G.I. Joes and 1 lady from an unrelated ninja organization stop them?
Oh, okay. I don't know, Amber. I'm gonna go with IMDb, Metacritic, Amazon, Amber.
Amazon, IMDb, Metacritic, Amber.
Okay.
Because it matters so much. There was, amongst the 3, there were 3 words that were different in one of them. All of them had the exact same wording, except for Metacritic that added in this sequel.
Okay.
They were identical.
Yeah, wow. They got real lazy on this one.
I'm not sure that's happened before.
I don't think it has, no.
Now, I'm just, because it was so very boring, I am just going to add that on Amazon, there are 3 different versions of G.I. Joe Retaliation available for Prime Video. There's G.I. Joe Retaliation. There's G.I. Joe Retaliation 4K UHD. And then there's G.I. Joe Retaliation Extended Cut. All 3 of these have different summaries.
Really?
And yet, the one for the original, like the G.I. Joe Retaliation no extenders, is identical to
the other 2.
IMDb and Metacritic. So like the 4K UHD, the greatest American heroes are back, in quotations for some reason. Also a star. So it's the greatest American heroes are back, with a star that's attached to nothing. And they've been set up to take the fall for a heinous crime they didn't commit. Roadblock, Dwayne Johnson, leads a team, including Channing Tatum and Bruce Willis, on this high-octane adventure. So that's not true. He actually doesn't lead. Channing Tatum is leading the team until he dies. And then Dwayne Johnson is. And also Bruce Willis isn't part of the team. He's just an old guy that they go to see for guns.
Yeah, he's just there. Yeah.
So that's wildly different from the other one. And that's just because it's the 4K. And then with the extended cut, you get, the Joes are back! All in caps.
Okay.
And they've been set up to take the fall for a heinous crime they didn't commit. That's similar. But then, when all else fails, one option remains. Retaliation. Roadblock leads a new team on this high-octane adventure. They're all pretty freaking different.
Yeah.
On the same platform for the same movie. I just thought that was amusing in such a boring round of which is which.
I wonder why they spent their, summary budget on different ones for every version of the movie.
Why are there different? It's the same fucking movie.
Well, maybe in the extended cut, there's more retaliation.
Which is why it's all in caps. They are back!
Yep.
Why are they? Why is so the beginning of that one is all in caps, and the beginning of the other one is in quotation marks.
And a star.
With a little asterisk that goes to nothing. And the greatest, was it to explain that they're not the greatest? Ooh. Maybe it's because they're not supposed to be American heroes. They're supposed to be international heroes. And maybe that's the asterisk. Or it's because they're not technically the greatest. We're just saying they're the greatest. It's sort of You know, when you get an herbal supplement and they say what it can do for you, and then there's an asterisk and it says, we've never proven any of this.
Right, right.
Like, you'll fuck like a rock star and you'll live forever, but we haven't proven that.
But also, yeah, don't hold us to it.
They're not the greatest or the most American heroes, okay? Any hoozles. Megan?
Yes, Amber.
What did the critics feel about this film?
Yeah, they liked it a little bit less than Rise of Cobra. So for Rotten Tomatoes, it's 29 critics, 48 audience.
I think it was a little bit higher on Metacritic. 41 for critics, 53 for users. This was so much better than the first one.
It was so much better than None of the critics thought that, by the way.
Not a single one of them did.
They all hated it more. And they thought it was just as ludicrous and, stupider and blah, blah, blah.
They either hated it more or they hated it as much for different reasons. They were very clear that they hated it for different reasons, but they still hated it.
And a lot of them use in their quotes, at least on Rotten Tomatoes, like, did you think a second G.I. Joe movie was a good idea? Like very much like referencing the first one and saying there was no point in making a second one, or hopefully this is the last of them, or what have you.
Interesting. There were very different polls on Metacritic, even though I'm sure they're the same critics. They just took different tacks. This was more... I mean, there were definitely a handful of positive reviews that said it was good popcorn, silly fun, good action. But a lot of the other polls talked about how usually The Rock can save a franchise like he did for The Fast and the Furious. This didn't work this time. Or even Bruce Willis couldn't bring this out of its doghouse. Or they talked about Price, the guy who plays the president, saying that he seemed to be having a good time.
Okay.
There was complaints about the action being perfunctory or soulless. One critic in particular said, "This is nonstop action. And do we even really want nonstop action? Is that do we actually want the action not to stop?" So it kind of seemed like he was having an existential crisis while he was writing his review.
Yeah, I thought none of the things that the critics, for the most part, and I read on the Roger Ebert review website. It's actually written by Richard Roper. Essentially felt exactly the opposite of how I felt about the movie, and in terms of thinking it was more complicated plot-wise than the first one, that the action wasn't as good, that, and that was not my feeling about this movie.
No, I actually thought that while the story is still ridiculous, it's not nearly as convoluted and unnecessary as the first one. I actually thought the action, well, not the best I've ever seen, was diverting, entertaining, and engaging. And they definitely they took some big swings on some of the set pieces that they designed, and they accomplished them fairly competently. And the characters, even though they would do backstory info dumps apropos of nothing in the weirdest moments, I was still fine with them.
Yeah.
There was some good chemistry amongst some of the cast members. There were some lines that I chuckled at, I think, or at least there were some instances where they did a little mini twist in real time, and it was like, oh, okay, that's clever. I like what you did there. And also, so based on that, already a superior film to the first one. I enjoyed watching it more. I hadn't actually ever seen this one before.
Yeah.
Also, we did not traumatize a woman as a plot point for enjoyment.
Yeah. Yeah, that was also just shot it up in the ranking for me.
Just lopping off that particular tumor really helped with my enjoyment. But it's also just at core a better action movie.
Just actually a better action movie. And I think that the plot is actually slightly simpler.
Yes.
I mean, there's some twisted, weird stuff to it, but
of course.
But it's not as,
It's not as unnecessarily convoluted with bizarre offshoots, and it's not as hard to explain. It's silly and ridiculous. I meant what I said. Nuclear disarmament and then bombardment with space rods. That's the plan. But it's a fucking Cobra Command. They're not gonna hold the world hostage with a bioweapon, or actually I guess they kind of did that with nanites, but Cobra Command is gonna do something ludicrous. They're ridiculous.
That's the thing.
They're supervillains without superpowers. So obviously it's going to be silly. Yeah, the one other thing they mentioned a lot in the blurbs that Metacritic pulled was that it was like gun fetishization and kind of militaristic zeal. Like the AV Club from Scott Tobias mentions that, but a bunch of other people said it's all about advertising for big guns and hardware and guns. Everybody loves guns. And weirdly, I didn't feel that in this. I mean, certainly not more than the last one. Not really. They definitely used guns. And there was that one scene in Bruce Willis's house, and we'll talk about it, but that felt more comedic than fetishized because it was hyperbole. It was taken to a comedic extreme. So it was interesting. My read was so different from theirs, not just from an enjoyment standpoint, but from the things that they felt were so salient and so unpleasant just didn't register with me. Yeah. And also, a woman wasn't traumatized for men's entertainment or plot points.
Also, can we reiterate the fact that they left that out, which was
just completely
lovely.
Again, by left it out, just removed it. We didn't talk about that character. Channing Tatum's character still exists. Duke still around. But what's her face? I don't even remember who Anna was because we're not going to mention her. I assume she's rotting away in prison for things she couldn't control herself having done because her body was being controlled by her brother and a bunch of other men to do whatever they wanted it to do. But she's definitely still on the hook for those murders.
Yeah. Yeah, and Cobra Commander is now over his mind controlling desires.
Megan, nanomites were so last season. Now we're on to space rods, baby.
Yeah, good point.
All right, so I disagree. I don't think this was a great movie, but I think it was, maybe in comparison to the first one, it's a little bit better for me. I probably wouldn't on its own give it a solid in the 50s. This is kind of silly, fun, entertaining.
But I would rewatch this movie at some point.
I would,
yeah. And I don't know that I would say that for the first G.I. Joe one.
No, I'm good on that one.
Yeah.
All right, critics, wrong again. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wow, how are you so bad at this? This is not that hard.
No, it's not. I feel like we do a great job.
Well, let's talk too much about this movie in a confusing way, Megan.
Perfect. Let's do it. So, Amber, we've got The Rock in this movie. You've got Channing. Oh, boy. Amber, we've got The Rock in this movie. We've got Channing Tatum from the first movie. They got a select few people to carry over from the first G.I. Joe to the second one.
I mean, not Dwayne Johnson.
No, sorry. Just Channing Tatum.
Well, not just Channing Tatum. We got a few people coming back from the first one. We have Channing Tatum's Duke is back. We have Snake Eyes, Ray Park is back. Mm-hmm. You could put anybody in that suit. You have Jonathan Pryce, the president, is back. Mm-hmm. And, of course, your favorite and mine, Storm Shadow, Lee Byung-hun, is back.
The one that they for sure killed last one?
The one that was unimpeachably dead.
Yeah.
I saw him double stabbed in the chest. Mm-hmm. And then I saw his body fall into Arctic Ocean water in an underground lab that was flooding and then exploded moments after his body fell.
Yeah, in fact, in our last podcast, we actually said that, like, it was kind of weird that the one person who died was this person of color. Oh, I guess he's not dead.
No, we're not even going to attempt to explain.
We don't talk about it at all.
We don't care. So there's a lot in this movie that feels like they just decided to retcon.
And I have read that this movie was almost a soft reboot of G.I. Joe. They didn't call it G.I. Joe 2. They called it The Rise of Cobra. I think that, like, even though there was those folks that came back, they didn't mention much from the last movie. There's, Jonathan Pryce's character carrying over as president, but as a pop point that he's a Cobra Commander,
I don't. Are you trying to say that that the president is actually Zartan?
Yes, the president is actually Zartan. It's like the one thing they carried over from the first movie.
The nanomite-infused Zartan, master of disguise, who has taken over the president's place and is up to some shenanigans.
Yes, that's the thing, Amber.
Indeed.
In any case, you start this movie with a delightful interaction between Channing Tatum and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
We have Duke and Roadblock.
Duke and Roadblock. Yep.
Roadblock is our new character.
And we've forgotten again about Marlon Wayans. We've forgotten about...
we do not mention Marlon Wayans. Marlon Wayans is gone, people. Don't even worry about what's his face.
Gone.
Scarlett went to have babies with Marlon Wayans, okay? Because she learned
good
about
on
love
them.
and she doesn't want to be a soldier anymore. She wants to be a woman.
And Dennis Quaid's also gone. Duke is now in charge. He's the captain.
I'm sorry. The new guy? The new guy is in charge of everything?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Excellent. And so how is he dealing with this threat of nanomites now that they've been unleashed on the world? They can mind control people. They can eat metal. They can make your face move. What are they going to do about this?
No,
this
the nanomite wars are over. It's over.
Wait, the nanomite wars are over?
Yeah, they just fleetingly reference the fact that they're over, so we're not going to talk about them, essentially. Seem to be the...
So we just put a period in nanomites and moved on, and also put Duke in charge, and also put Storm Shadow back on the board. This all happens in the intro. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
The voiceover intro says, "Fuck nanomites." One, Storm Shadow alive, Cobra Commander still in prison. Don't worry about that with Destro. Also, Duke, remember him, in charge. Yeah. That's all you need to know about that first movie, people. We have changed the board. Anyone we didn't mention, don't expect to see them.
Don't think about them.
Anyone we did mention, don't worry about what happened to them in that first movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is our intro. It's actually kind of great.
Yeah, I can suspend disbelief on that case. Like, you can do a soft reboot. I don't care.
Why not?
Yeah. But one of the delightful things about this movie is these Duke Roadblock interactions. Like, you've got the first part of the movie, like them just like buddying around, and playing video games, playing with the Rock's children. I guess Roadblock's children. Yeah, it's adorable. I liked it.
I did not know until this movie that there was a Channing Tatum, Dwayne Johnson buddy movie that I wanted to see and now never can. Not because it's impossible that those two would be put into a movie together again, but because I needed to see early days Dwayne Johnson when he was still having fun and he was still hungry for it. With Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum still seems like he's having fun. I'm not worried about him.
Seems to be the case, yeah.
It's the feeling I got from watching these was very similar to, say you took the chemistry of Seann William Scott and Dwayne Johnson in The Rundown.
Yeah.
And transplanted it into the A-Team.
Yeah.
That's the vibe it was serving me. Like good, silly, buddy, comfort, family.
Yeah.
Jibs and jibes in between action and silliness and ridiculousness. And that scene of them playing video games on the couch, after they did some action, and then suddenly we're in Roadblock's house with his cute family, and he and Duke are playing a video game. And it's fucking fantastic, because Duke is clearly great at being a soldier, terrible at playing a video game soldier.
Very bad.
And so you just have Roadblock sitting there like, I'm bleeding out, man. I'm bleeding out. You're not going to res me. I'm bleeding out right next to you. And it just shows Duke's character just spinning in a circle as he's like, wait, can I call in an airdrop? What does this button do?
Yep. He's clearly just has his hand like moving the left trigger like in a circle. And
it's just, it's delightful. And it makes me so sad that back in the 2010s, this movie didn't happen because Duke is almost immediately killed.
Yeah, they keep him in as long as they can. They use as much footage as I'm sure they had. And then the retaliation that they have to do. This was Retaliation. I think I said
this one is earlier. Retaliation. Yes.
Sorry. It's hard to keep track. I mean, like they both include Cobra Commander. I mean, The Rise of Cobra ends with Cobra Commander in jail. Retaliation ends up with Cobra Commander going off to do his thing. Like, and they're whatever. Anywho, the thing that they are retaliating is Duke's death plus every other Joe, I guess, was on that battlefield, and yeah,
Zartan, the not president, orders the Joes to go into Pakistan to steal some nuclear warheads because somebody has assassinated the Pakistani president. And unrest has unfolded, and they're worried someone will come and steal the nukes, so they're going to secure them. Super legal, I'm sure. Not at all a terrible international incident. Definitely doesn't really explain why this movie was banned in Pakistan. Because they just blithely assassinated the president of the fucking country.
And then, like, you're saying that, like, and it's not even clear that the people who have they're securing the nukes from presumably at least former military folks
or terrorists or maybe private groups. It doesn't matter. It's basically,
it doesn't matter. They go in guns blazing because that's what they do.
Because you can't just let those nukes just flop about. And of course, if a president is assassinated in a foreign country, it's just anarchy. It's just fucking anarchy, and the U.S. has to go in and fix that shit.
Yeah, or at least take their weapon, take their ball and go home.
So the plot of this is, they go on that mission. It's super successful. And then while they're in the desert waiting to transfer these nukes, all of a sudden some helicopters come in and just annihilate every G.I. Joe in existence. Don't worry about the pit from the first movie. We didn't fucking mention it in the intro, so it doesn't fucking exist. Did I not tell you that anything I didn't mention in the intro doesn't exist? Why are you asking me about it? Every G.I. Joe in existence, other than Snake Eyes, who they mention isn't with them for some reason, is exploded in this desert.
Because it needed every single Joe to do this mission.
Yes.
Last we heard, there were hundreds of Joes, because, like, that's what Dennis Quaid said about the aircraft or whatever.
Did I mention Dennis Quaid in the intro?
No, you didn't. Nor did you mention hundreds of Joes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So only Roadblock, Jay, played by Adrian Palicki, and Flint, played by DJ Catrona, survive. They jump into a well, they hold their breath, and they wait for things to pass. Every other Joe is murdered. So now there are no G.I. Joes on the board except for these three, and then Snake Eyes is in the wind. And not President Zartan is like, hey, guess what? G.I. Joes, they assassinated the Pakistani president and stole these nuclear warheads, so we had to eliminate them.
Right.
Sorry, guys. And you know what? Now that I think about it, nuclear weapons they're bad. And I don't think anyone should have them. So I'm going to host a summit of all the world powers that hold nuclear weapons, and we're all going to get together here in the U.S. and we're going to figure out disarmament. That's what we're going to do.
Gosh, Amber, that sounds like a good thing.
I'm on board. It's weird. It's weird that not President Evil Zartan is doing the good stuff.
He even throws in, I think, at this point, maybe the fact that the folks that eliminated the Joes, who were turncoats, was Cobra, and so kind of starting to bring Cobra in as the good guys, apparently.
Weirdly, yes. So Cobra Commander, as well as Destro, they're in a super secret German prison for supervillains. Now, they're just dudes. One has a shiny face, and one has, kind of an injured face.
Yeah, I guess they both have injured faces by the time.
They both are injured face men.
Anyway, yeah.
But they're not actual supervillains. They cannot fly. No. They don't have super strength. No. They don't have magical powers. And yet, inexplicably, in this secret underground by so many thousands of feet, it's actually an international space. It's not actually in Germany. It's so far beneath Germany, it's nowhere.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
They have them suspended in tanks and pumped full of a synthetic sleep paralysis drug that simulates REM sleep, where your body can't move, but your eyes and your heart are still active.
Yeah. Yes. Kind of like a sleep paralysis kind of thing.
And they're suspended in water tanks. They are just men!
Yeah.
They're human men!
You did a lot. You did a lot too. I mean, like, and they're evil geniuses, and so maybe you feel like if you let them, like, have access to living a normal life.
Motor skills.
Yeah,
I can genius my way out of some bars and up a few miles above the surface. I can genius my way past some guns.
I don't know, Amber. Yeah,
with some toiletries and a jumpsuit.
Yeah.
My brain is my weapon.
Well, so we're introduced to this compound by the warden, who's played by none other than Walton Goggins.
Ah, I love me some Walton Goggins. Boyd Crowder forever.
Crowder, yep. Fantastic.
Except for those last few seasons. Not those ones, but the seasons before that, yeah.
Yes, very good. And who is just, he's just happy to be a warden, Amber. Like, and he seems like obviously he's doing a lot of explaining to, by the way, Snake Eyes, who has been captured for the murder of the Pakistani president. Yeah.
Snake Eyes, why? Wait, why did you kill the Pakistani president? And then also, how did you get captured if you're supposed to be such a super ninja? I don't care about any of that. I'm just so glad there are no lips on your face mask.
Oh my God, they got rid of that, and oh boy, good choice.
That was haunting. It still haunts me.
I mean, if you want to like actually compare the two movies, like that alone makes it
lips,
additional
no
steps.
Lips.
Yeah, above.
Gimp suit for sex. Mm-hmm. Outfit, kind of cool.
Outfit, yeah. Anywho, so he's, and like obviously he's being a little bit hubrisful by kind of like just explaining how all this shit works and stuff, but like. He runs a tight ship. He's so happy about it. He's excited about like
two prisoners in there. So he's only gotten to do this spiel maybe twice.
Yeah.
And Snake Eyes is going to be his third. He's pretty, I mean, how often does he get to show off his toys?
It's true. And he's just like, and like, he's also like, as respectfully as you can shove somebody into a water tank and load them full of chemicals that will have them be in perpetual sleep paralysis, he's being considerate and,
agreed.
Civil.
Yeah. He's not doing that alpha male, lording over the person's like, I have power because I'm a prison warden, so I'm going to lord it over you and feel like a big man.
Right, or like you're defenseless, so I'm going to get my licks in, and anyhow, and he's got to go into a room now. This room is amazing because guess what? This room is the one that, if it wasn't like we're so close to the Earth's core, we would be burning up if it weren't for these huge like cooling systems, and it's a balmy 68 degrees. Ooh, you almost need a jacket. And it goes on to the next room.
It's so fucking Chekhov's adorable. Cooling tanks. Like all of it is just fucking info dump for what happens next. But he's selling it so hard, I don't care. Yeah. Thank you, Walton Goggins.
I don't know of many actors who could have sold it like that. To me personally, right? Like this is hitting the Megan Amber sweet point of like delightful villain,
yes.
But
he's not a villain. He's
not too much. I mean, he's a warden, so he's part of the prison industrial complex, and so doesn't mean
he's the warden of a secret black site supervillain prison.
Probably not. Like morally, that's a pretty gray area. But he doesn't act like. You're right. He's not like actively being a villain.
I mean.
Yeah.
The people he's imprisoning did attempt to completely destabilize the world so that they could rule it. And the guy who's joining them, I mean, used to be a good guy and then assassinated a president. So it's not great.
It's not great.
Him, I would believe. Snake Eyes, I would believe, needs to be in supervillain prison. He's not.
Yes.
He's not a superhero, but he is a ninja.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the sense of the way the West thinks about ninjas. So basically we just give them superpowers.
Yeah. But so Amber, okay, you said that there's no lips on this Snake Eyes suit. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because
No, don't you do it.
No. I was gonna say that implies that he was wearing his helmet.
Oh, sorry.
As they were bringing him into this facility. They'd caught him like a while back and left his whole outfit on.
Sorry, I was worried you were going to backdoor some snake facts in there. Yeah, no, they definitely left on his whole outfit after arresting him and bringing him to who knows where they found him. I assume not in Germany. Just the entire trip, Snake Eyes mask. I can see your computer screen in your glasses. I can see that it just changed. And so I know what you're about to do to me. Just do it.
Snake facts. Learn about snakes. Okay, this is going to be just real quick. It was a couple weeks ago. We were talking in Anaconda about like the biggest, like I listed for you, the biggest snakes. There's a new record-breaking Burmese python that was captured in Florida. Are you ready for this, Amber?
I mean, it's Florida, so no, I'm never ready for what comes out of Florida.
Mm-hmm. The previous record was an 85-pound Burmese python.
That's a lot of python.
This one was 215 pounds and 18 feet long.
The fuck, Florida? Jesus.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I mean, and as you already know probably or suspect that like the Burmese python is an invasive species to Florida. It's because people get these Burmese python as pets and then are said, I'm done with them, and chuck them out into the wild and let them go. And they
thrive.
They create fucking havoc because like...
They're eating everything.
They eat everything. They can eat large deer.
Just think about that.
Deer.
Think about a snake eating a deer. Think about what that looks like. It's a lot of folding, I imagine.
Yeah. She also had 122 developing eggs in her abdomen.
So I guess when we talk about how big a snake could get if we left them alone, what we really mean is if we left them alone in Florida.
If we left them in Florida, honestly, if you change where you're taking and where you're placing the movie Anaconda, if you put it in Florida, I'm actually okay with the huge fucking ton snake.
Oh, it gets so much scarier if you put Anaconda in Florida.
Yeah.
All rules are off in Florida.
Yes, ma'am. All right, that was your snake facts. Learn about some snakes.
Oh dear. Thank you. That is not at all a momentum killer. That's great.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. So they left Snake Eyes' helmet on?
Yeah, they did. And this is when, Warden Nigel James is the name of Walton Goggins' warden. Warden Nigel James removes his helmet because he's like, let's see that pretty face.
It's not even... Well, I don't know how they would know it's not Snake Eyes, because
no one knows what Snake Eyes looks like. But they do know. What Storm Shadow looks like.
Yes, they do. And it is Storm Shadow.
Thank goodness it was someone who wasn't Snake Eyes that they know who he was.
Right.
It was a recognizable person. So, not Snake Eyes? I've seen you two in the same place.
Yeah, exactly. He also spoke. And at first I was like, what did they do? And then, no, it was Storm Shadow. Snake Eyes
Shadow
doesn't speak. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Storm Shadow's there to bust Cobra Commander out. You might ask yourself, why not also Destro? Because
they didn't get that guy to sign up for the second movie. So
what I think about it, they wouldn't have even had to, because at the end of that movie, they turn his face into a shiny metal helmet. So they could have put CGI metal face on any actor.
That is true, which is what they did for Cobra Commander, because they did not bring, or I should say, JGL did not decide to come back.
Yeah, no, he immediately puts on a mask, and we do not see that actor's face. He's just Cobra Commander from then on out.
Yeah.
So Storm Shadow does an excellent job of stopping his heart with his mind, and then restarting it, and then killing everything, and then busting out. Again, just Cobra Commander, not Destro, because Cobra Commander says, you're out of the club, and they walk away. Also, they have a man on the outside helping.
That's Firefly, right?
Firefly. He sends in his boom boom fireflies, as well as he's riding a motorcycle as he approaches the entrance to the super secret prison. And then he opens a parachute, and he gets flung off the motorcycle, but then the motorcycle disassembles itself and becomes a bunch of different rockets that then become explosives and rocket towards the building.
Fucking ridiculous.
Visually very entertaining.
Very, very entertaining. He was just riding. I mean, like,
he was riding
glad he didn't hit
multiple
any
explosives.
Yeah, he was riding all explosives, and I'm glad he didn't hit a pothole, because that would have blown him the hell up.
I mean, I guess he is the boom boom expert, so if anyone was going to do this, it would be Firefly, played by Ray Stevenson.
Yes.
So this is a pretty thorough prison break. Warden Nigel and his team are fairly outmatched. However, Warden Nigel gets some good moves in there before he eats it.
He does. And he doesn't do the thing. Usually, like in these kinds of scenes, the reason that the bad guy, or sometimes the good guys that have been imprisoned, get out is because the warden is just being so, boastful and overconfident, and so he does something stupid. You can't blame Nigel for the fact that Storm Shadow can stop his heart from beating.
Nope.
That's not really in the playbook.
That's not fair. No. Yeah, and it's and after his team is slaughtered, Warden Nigel's kind of hiding. And you get that, the big powerful warden's going to hide and, get killed. And Storm Shadow is ripped through everybody else, has inexplicably become shirtless. Mm-hmm. If you work on your torso that much, why not? If you're into it.
I mean, yeah.
Hell yeah, Lee Byung-hun. That's beautiful work.
Sure. Good job.
And you think, oh, shit, what's he going to do? He's just going to die. And then he grabs a defibrillator and shocks the water that Storm Shadow is standing in, and then runs out of the room, closes the door, gets his guys. He's like, okay, anything that comes through that door, shoot it. He doesn't know that Firefly's out there with his exploding motorcycle and his freaking dirty mine marbles. And so they just get blown up from behind. But, he's got a little life left in him as Cobra Commander walks out with Storm Shadow. And so he raises a gun and shoots Chekhov's cooling tank so that there's a big fiery explosion, and it hurts Storm Shadow, but it doesn't kill him. And so is it, nice job, Warden Nigel. I don't know why your character was so competent and good and charismatic, but I enjoyed
you were
him.
Played by Walton Goggins, most likely.
It was completely unnecessary. He dies in that scene. Yeah. He doesn't actually accomplish anything.
Yeah.
Other than, that's not fair. It explains why Storm Shadow does not then immediately go with Cobra Commander and Firefly to hook up with Zartan and enact the rest of their plan. Storm Shadow is now injured, so he has to go to a secret retreat to heal.
Which is why, essentially from this point on, we have two separate movies happening. We've got the Roadblock, Lady J contingent, and then we've got the real Snake Eyes and Jinx, who's as you mentioned before, the ninja from the random affiliation, who's played by Elodie Young, who is also Elektra in the Daredevil series.
Indeed she is. Yeah, we have the remaining G.I. Joes, so Jade, Roadblock, and Flint. Snake Eyes is also a G.I. Joe, but Snake Eyes is also part of the Reishikage, a group of ninjas. We learned that in the first movie. We didn't know their name, but we know they existed. Right. And we know that Storm Shadow killed their master. So
what was the master's name, Amber?
Please don't make me say it.
Amber, what? But I just want to know which master you're speaking of.
He killed the Hard Master.
The Hard Master.
His name was the Hard Master. And they say it so much more than you'd think you would say the name of someone if their name is the Hard Master.
The Hard Master, yeah.
So we get a little bit more backstory from Snake Eyes is training with Jinx. And RZA, the Blind Master, is there. Explaining everything. Snake Eyes doesn't talk, and we don't let Jinx talk that much. So we just have RZA saying, hey, I know that Jinx, cousin of Storm Shadow, you don't trust her because you worry about her affiliations, but she's definitely wants to bring Storm Shadow to justice for killing the Hard Master too. And so here's a sword that you can bring Storm Shadow to justice so you can go to the place and get him and bring him to justice. So you got to bring him back alive. You don't use a sword to bring someone back alive, whatever. And then it'll be good. But also, we need him to tell us what Cobra Commander's plans are. So we need information from him, but also he needs to be brought to justice. So Jinx and Snake Eyes, you're going on a ninja mission to the mountains. And then the other G.I. Joes are doing soldier stuff in the U.S.
Yep.
2 movies.
And honestly, I'm not mad at it.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. I am happy to go between the two. They're both ridiculous.
Absolutely, 100%.
There's an amazing cliff fight in the Snake Eyes Jinx movie that took like 2 months to film, obviously, and just rappelling off of the cliff, sword fights on the cliff, sideways things. It's just grappling hook guns and like yeah.
Yeah, that
Zip lines. Yeah, it's delightful.
That
it's
monastery mountain scene escalates. It's the slow climb of Snake Eyes and Jinx up the mountain to this secret place. Snake Eyes is completely healed by the time they get there and ready to go. But then they show up. There's a fight between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow that goes from Storm Shadow throwing stars, shuriken, at him, and Snake Eyes is shooting them out of the air. And then they both pull Sais out of nowhere. They both have swords on their backs, but they pull Sais. And then they have a Sai
time
fight.
for the swords yet, Amber.
And then it just becomes a hand-to-hand fight. And then Jinx is off somewhere beating up an old lady healer. And then she comes in and gasses Storm Shadow, who then is put in a body bag and just zip lines down the mountain.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And then, they're Jinx and Snake Eyes are chased by a bunch of red-dressed... So you can tell the difference between them. Red-dressed ninjas with swords, and they're all repelling and jumping. And it's pretty fantastic. Or fantastical and entertaining and good. It doesn't go on for too long. It's ridiculous enough without being CGI silliness overboard. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Jay, Roadblock, and Flint are... I just remembered. You remember how after all the Joes are blown up, and then they inexplicably, despite the fact that they're supposed to be dead and also hiding from the U.S. government, make it back to the U.S. And then Roadblock takes them to the hood, where I guess he grew up, and we get this info dump of his backstory for no reason. No reason. Roadblock
doesn't come into play.
Just like, I grew up here, I was in foster homes, I had a life expectancy of 13, and I was 14, and kids just beat me up until I got big, and then when I got big, I beat them up, and then when the Joes came to the hood recruiting, I signed up because I wanted to be a soldier and fight on the ground for my country. Oh, that has nothing to do with anything that happened before or after. It's just happening to us. And then after that, they're like, okay, what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to try and figure out what's going on because the only one who could have ordered that strike against us was the president. So I'm going to investigate that. And they're like, well, Jay, hold on. How are you going to keep them from tracing us? And she's like, don't worry. I'm going to cyber blast out.
Oh, boy, yeah.
And I don't even remember what she said after cyber blast, but it distracted me enough that I couldn't pay attention because she's going to go cyber blast some shit.
She's going to cyber blast it, Amber. Don't you worry.
Jay has some cyber blasting to do. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. Flint and Roadblock, boy soldiers. Jay has got the cyber blasting on lock. She also cyber blasts some footage of the president to determine that he is talking differently and holding his hands differently. It was actually pretty smart. That was neat.
Seems, some good detective work.
Some good detective work. They talk about how, people use filler words like or and suddenly the president went from using, a handful of filler words to a handful of different filler words. And it's like fingerprint. Cyber blasted. She cyber blasted the shit out of that.
Yeah.
And then they have to go to Bruce Willis's house.
Yeah, so the original G.I. Joe is Bruce Willis.
I guess.
Obviously.
But everyone knows that.
Yep. General Joe Colton. And this is see, here's where, Amber, I feel like, did the critics miss this scene? Because this scene is ridiculous. Like, they go into General Colton's house. General Colton like silently drops from the ceiling on top of them, and they have a whole talk, but then convince him to help at some point. And he goes through and says, "Okay, let's get all geared up." And so just every single drawer and cabinet in his house is filled with grenades and guns and knives and swords and General Patton's gun.
It escalates so beautifully. It's the Christian Shawl is a horse finding guns in somebody's house. It starts with the range that he lifts up and, there's guns in the range. And then he pulls open the cupboards that are only 2 inches deep and he pulls back the actual shelving filled with guns. And then he pulls out fucking grenades from the fruit basket. And then he goes into another room and just points at 2 cupboards and Flint and Jay open them up, and there's no attempt to hide these. You just open the cupboards; they're filled with guns.
Those ones are open.
But then we wind up in the bedroom, and he types a code into the thermostat, and then out of the closet comes yet more guns. It's hyperbolic to the point of being hilarious.
Yeah, I was getting annoyed until the fruit bowl thing, my first reaction was like, what if a kid, and I was like, oh no, this is okay. No, they're just, I find this funny.
We're
again.
just being silly. This is,
yeah.
It didn't seem fetishistic. It just seemed comedic.
Yeah, it just was a ridiculous thing that they were doing. Yeah.
All right. So now you've got guns and also a tank, because he also has a tank in his garage. And now they just need to get close to Zartan, the not president. Mm-hmm. So they grab one of his aides and give him some, I believe it was called something like aminobarbital.
Yeah.
An amazing drug, Megan. What this thing does is it is a paralytic sedative that creates amnesia. So once you inject somebody, you've got 5 minutes. And then after that, they will fall unconscious, and when they wake up, they won't remember anything that happened.
Okay, I still contend that no such drug exists, and they lied to this guy, and The Rock was just going to punch him real hard in the head and hope he forgot what happened.
But forced trauma could also possibly be helpful in this. Sure, maybe they just gave him a sedative so he wouldn't have to feel the blunt force trauma to his cerebral cortex.
Yeah.
Either way, it's what it allows them to do is grab a dude, get information from him while holding a gun on him, and then suffer no repercussions for it, as well as having the guy not even know he gave up the information, and also be more willing to give up the information because he won't feel guilty about having committed the betrayal because he won't even remember it, which is something Roadblock says to the man. Like, don't worry, you won't even have to feel bad about ratting out the president. You won't remember doing it. That's kind of neat. If somebody kind of gave you carte blanche, gunpoint, okay, I'm going to need you to do a bad thing. But you're not going to remember having done it.
You're not going to remember ever doing it, so don't you even worry about it.
Is that freeing, or should I feel bad that that feels freeing? Because I will have still done the thing, but if I don't remember, I don't have to feel the, And I guess, we already don't feel too bad for this guy because he was taken in by a woman who was out jogging with groceries.
Yeah, sure.
But she had a nice ass. Mm-hmm. So he went over to help her with her jogging groceries.
Yeah, obviously.
After hanging up on his wife, Megan. Mm-hmm. Kind of a weasel, this one.
Yeah, that's why you don't feel bad. So, Amber, this all winds up with, we learn, that Storm Shadow did not kill the Hard Master, that it was Zartan all along who killed the Hard Master. Don't worry about it, Amber. Well, it's just a thing that happens. So,
you're suggesting that there's some sort of redemption arc for Storm Shadow in this?
Kind of. The guy in the last movie who killed so many people.
Just mercilessly and with great zeal, yes.
Yeah.
So we sort of retconned a bit of Storm Shadow for this.
It's a little hard to, it's a pill hard to swallow. He never told anybody he didn't kill the Hard Master. He just kind of ran away. And he was a child and he ran into the arms of Zartan, who kind of, raised him to be a ruthless killer. So he's got a little bit of there's reasons for his, but yeah, no, he definitely, he did a lot of murdering in the last movie.
Yeah, but Megan, his friends and the people who trained him just assumed he'd done it because he was so angry all the time and tried to kill a boy that time with his bare hands because the boy was hungry.
Yeah, you're right.
Why did everybody think the worst of him?
Why did we jump to conclusions?
Anywho, it means that he's totally willing to betray Cobra Commander so that he can get after Zartan, and it gives us a chance to see Jinx and Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow all fight together.
Which is delightful. I do very much enjoy that, and I'm happy about it.
And then when it's over, Storm Shadow gives Snake Eyes the stink eyes because he didn't believe that he didn't kill the Hard Master. Right.
It seems like Storm Shadow seems like he feels like he has a lot of he feels like he should feel betrayed because they didn't believe that he didn't kill the Hard Master.
I agree with him. But you totally on his side.
But you did kill all those hundreds of people afterwards.
Yeah, but he's so pretty and he fights so good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, Amber, here we go. Here's the last kind of big scene that happens where, oh boy, we've got Zartan as the not president at their nuclear summit with the other countries who have nuclear weapons. And the way that not president plays this is he asks everybody to just go ahead and disarm their nuclear weapons. Everybody says, no, we're not going to do that. We'll agree to like 50% reduction in like X years. And he says, that's not good enough. In fact, if you don't agree to this now, I'm going to launch all my nuclear weapons at all of you.
And then he does.
Oh, and then he does. And then they all do.
Well, yeah. But first they say, history will remember that you're the one who forced us to do this. And then they all hit the launch button. There's gonna be no history, motherfuckers.
There's no history.
You all launched all of your nuclear weapons, and now you're just staring at each other.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, so then Zartan turns around and says, okay, well, I'll be the bigger person, and I'll just hit the self-destruct on all of my nukes that are in the air right now. And I'll do it right now, and you all should do it too. And so he does.
And then they do. So
and then they do.
All of the world's nuclear arsenal was just launched and then exploded.
Sure.
In the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah, that's bad.
But Megan, they didn't blow up on the ground, so that fixes everything.
No. So it does fix some things. I did so much research about this, and I'm only going to share a tiny bit of it with you, dear listeners.
Facts. Learning about nukes.
Which is that there is a big, one of the things about nuclear fallout is like the bomb hits the ground and the explosion part knocks up all this dust and dirt, and the radioactive particles cling to the dirt, and then that's why like the nuclear material falls down onto the earth and causes such a problem for such a long time. If you explode them in the atmosphere, the radiation just stays in the atmosphere for the most part. And you get these bands of radiation in the atmosphere. Not a good thing.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great.
But isn't as bad as like potential mild global effects versus devastating local effects.
Right. But then the thing that we don't think about with nuclear explosions, Megan, is the EMP part of them.
Yeah, they're essentially an EMP that in 1962, our government did this thing. They blew up a nuclear weapon wait. Really high up.
The U.S. government was just fucking around with nukes? Was it for science, Megan?
It was technically for science.
Was it for science?
I mean,
or was it for fucking PR?
Yeah, well, they did it twice. There's a couple different times they did it, Amber. The first time that they did it, in 62. No, this was the second time. First time was in... Oh boy, I'm sorry, listeners. This is going to go long. Okay, in 57, they actually had Air Force volunteers, 5 Air Force volunteers and a photographer, stand beneath where they were exploded a 2-kiloton nuclear weapon, like, I can't remember, 80,000 feet above them. And, like, these people just stood there and, like, looked at it. And then the idea, like you said, was PR to show, like, hey, it's not bad if these things go up in the air, like, in the ionosphere. Don't worry about it.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So a couple things about that. One, you explode something that high above people. It doesn't matter that you're directly underneath the explosion. Like, it's so high up that's gonna, like, the wind currents and the air and the blah, blah, blah.
That radiation is for everyone.
And that was in Nevada. And, like, the government ended up paying, like, in different settlements must have been over $1 billion to people living near these test sites in Nevada. Because guess what, Amber? They all got cancer.
What?
Again, not immediate, but, like... eventual. And then in 1962, they did another one, and they did this huge one in the atmosphere. And what it did, they did it like 800 miles away from Hawaii. And guess what, Amber? They blew up like over six satellites, and they caused streetlights to go out, radio to go out, power to go out in Hawaii.
So, to be clear, they didn't actually hit any of these things with the explosions. The satellites, the phones, streetlights, those were all knocked out by the EMP that happened.
It was over 800 miles away. Yes, Amber.
After the nuclear detonation.
Yes.
So now imagine the technology of now, not 1962. All of our cars have chips in them. Our phones, our computers, everything.
Yeah.
Delicate electronics. Now imagine the entire world's nuclear arsenal was just detonated in the fucking atmosphere.
Not to mention the fact, like, these, like, we saw these global maps of, like, where all these, like, targets were, and them being de-armed or exploded in the air. Like, it was everywhere. And by the way, we have so many satellites out these days. Like, compared to 1962, the number of satellites we have out is a exponential amount. And that would have knocked out, like, thousands of satellites from our atmosphere.
Oh, yeah. If it was 6 in 62, it would be, what, 50,000 now?
Yeah. The fact that that Zartan disarmed his or exploded his would mean there was so much EMP in the atmosphere or in the area that the other ones could not have actually disarmed theirs.
It would have knocked everything out. Yeah, no.
Because they couldn't have reached, they wouldn't have had signal.
It's fantastic. So we've disarmed the world with nuclear weapons. That's amazing. Right? We've done such a good thing, and there was no consequences. It was great.
So great.
It was so great. And then we just casually destroy fucking London.
Yeah, and then twist. Zartan wanted he wanted nobody to have nuclear weapons because now he has kinetic bombardment weapons, which is essentially, like Amber said, dropping large rods from space.
Giant space rods. There's a thing called Project Zeus. So when Cobra Commander's broken out of prison, he goes and he meets with Zartan and other folks, and we see them, Project Zeus is progressing nicely. Excellent. But we don't know what Project Zeus is until the twist moment when all the nukes are blown up. Like, yay, no consequences. Wonderful. And then Zartan's all, here's Cobra Commander. And he's got this suitcase. And do you know about, like, tungsten rods? And if you just drop them, you don't even have to explode them. You just drop them on a thing, and you have all of the destruction with none of the fallout. Here, let me show you. And he drops one on London. And you just see London destroyed.
London, at this point, London is destroyed.
Casually
you just said that, but it's so fucking casual. It's like, I guess it's supposed to, like, they wanted you to see how serious this was. But it is, but it's moments later that the good guys all come in and try to, like, capture and stop this.
Yeah, because the plan, like, they were showing London being destroyed, and then Cobra Commander's like, give me your fealty. And then, I'm putting all these other Zeus satellites into alignment over your cities, and I'm going to drop them unless you swear fealty to me. And then the coup starts. Then the Joes and Storm Shadow jump into action.
You might have thought they'd done it, like, 2 minutes earlier before, London and everybody who lives near there is dead.
Fuck London is basically how G.I. Joe thinks, I guess. Yeah, so London's gone. All electronics in the world have been knocked out, but not really. And now we're going to take down Cobra Commander! Woo! And fights and explosions.
Yeah, it's just gets silly from there, which is all delightful. There's no...
The Rock is just driving around in a tank. I think Roadblock is a diversion, while Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes and Jinx do some hand-to-hand in the room. And then Firefly runs off with a briefcase because, of course, they're going to drop those space rods unless they hit the stop switch. The abort switch needs to be hit. Otherwise, they're just going to go. So now as Cobra Commander's run... Okay.
Yeah.
I learned something about myself at the end of this movie.
What's that, Amber?
whatever the walk is that Cobra Commander does, that is the kind of sexual I am. I am that strut, that runway strut with this leather duster flapping in the wind. I mean, part of it is costuming it, but God, there are a couple of moments where they just show Cobra Commander walking. Just quick snippet of Cobra Commander just striding away as he's essentially fleeing. He's not running. He's just confidently walking to a helicopter. And we see 2 or 3 moments, just snippets of him doing it. And I'm just thinking about it. And I was just, it's like a visceral reaction to that fucking runway strut.
It's a very good shot. There's music behind it. There's like this. There's a sense of like grandiosity to him, and like it's
like the
shot in slow motion a little bit,
but it's not too slow.
Yeah, it's very good. I'll give you that.
Really good. It's really good. What I realized when I think about this. Okay, yes, so the guy playing Cobra Commander, I looked this up. I don't know who he is, but his name is Luke Bracey, and he's a generic pretty white guy. Like, not at all the kind of person that I find attractive, but but definitely the kind of person that knows they're attractive and appeal en masse to most people. He's just like a generic pretty white boy Ken doll. Yeah. I realized that perhaps, I mean, costuming aside, pretty good jacket, maybe what I respond to on a visceral level is the confidence of a pretty white guy walk without the packaging of the pretty white guy. Like, stick a mask on it so I can't tell that it's a pretty white dude. And I'm just like, ooh, the way you walk. Like, you own it. And not by it, I mean everything.
Because you do.
Because you really think you do.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm into that walk. I am not into what it represents. And so if you remove that, I can just respond on the visceral level to that beautiful runway strut of Cobra Commander. Just, this world is mine, baby. Like, yeah, it can be. Just walk like that all the time, everywhere. You can have what you want. Just keep the mask on, though.
Yep, definitely leave the mask on.
Mask on, Cobra Commander.
Oh, boy. Amber, the Joes win, and they stop the thing, and the end. We
do get to see the roadblock. He explodes Firefly with his own Firefly, and then he doesn't even look back at his mansplosion.
Yeah, he does do that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's
Amber,
entertaining.
Yeah. So on the rock scale, Amber, regrettable, outstanding, crazeballs, K, or solid, what would you rate this movie?
Every time we have such a nice conversation about a movie, and then you reduce it to just the most pedestrian
scale. Yeah.
Just nonsensical, reductive. It's reductive, Megan.
Are you calling the scale R for reductive?
Ugh. I don't know. It's some crazeballs stuff in it. It's almost solid, honestly.
I was gonna say solid. Yeah, I mean, crazeballs for sure in some key points, which is delightful, but like a solid action movie.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've watched just a solid action movie.
Just a solid, silly action movie. This is our wheelhouse. This is our sweet spot. Yeah. Solid, silly action movie. The character of Jay, we actually, I'm going to take a quick moment because we didn't say it. I know we're running long. Again, Jay is basically the only woman. Jinx, Elodie Young's character's in it. She barely talks. She doesn't have much to do. I would love to see more from her. She was great in Daredevil. Jay, played by Adrian Palicki, who we would recognize from John Wick, Miss Perkins.
Yes.
Great. She's acting good. Physicality good. Great action. She's a fucking genius. She cyberblasts the shit out of her problems.
Yep.
And we get her backstory jump. It's again apropos of nothing. She's in a pretty red dress because she had to go and do something that required a pretty red dress. And yeah, definitely use the woman to lure in stupid men. It works. But as she's taking the dress off and talking to Flint, her fellow remaining G.I. Joe, she makes this comment of, "Oh, if only my father could see me now." He's like, "Well, what do you mean? Like, you're a great soldier." He's like, "Yeah, no, I'm a third generation soldier. Like, my grandfather was, my father was, and he thought his son would be, and then I came out." And she said, and he never thought I should enter the military, and because he didn't believe in female soldiers. And when I finally asked him, he said, "Well, I don't really want to put my life in the hands of a woman. And so I enlisted the next day, and I did my best to climb through the ranks so that one day he would have to salute me. Like, fuck yeah, Jay! That is how you respond to the patriarchy. You smash it in its nuts and then make it salute you. But unfortunately, he died before she could ever get that.
Yep.
Now, all of that is wonderful. And there's another scene where she's talking about smart bullets that's sort of like this too. She's just talking like a competent person. She gets to be dressed like the rest of them in the same clothes. She's not wearing a skin-tight bodysuit. But the response to this is nonsensical. Yes. When she's talking about the smart bullets and she walks away, some dude makes a comment to another dude that just, girls with guns. What?
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means, especially in this context. And in this one, Flint's response to this is, well, if it makes you feel any better, you looked really good in that dress.
That wasn't what she was saying even a little bit. Her dad didn't say, you don't look good in red dresses, and now let's prove him wrong. No. No,
he actually kind of specifically said, women are made to look good in red dresses, not to be soldiers, is kind of what he was saying. So Flint really missed the mark on this one.
Yeah, sure did.
I don't understand that, but I really liked her backstory quite a bit, and the way her character was utilized was great. Not alone in this, as a bummer, but so worlds above, different category of movie from the last one, which was just depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I have to say about that. So solid Craze Balls. I would watch it again. It was fun. It was silly. It didn't piss me off in a lot of ways. The way it dealt with international politics in other countries, not great. Had a little foray into North Korea for reasons, and Pakistan for reasons. So yeah. Anyway, also, did you know that when you hit the abort button on a space rod dropping satellite, it just explodes all of them?
That's yep.
Problem solved.
You mean the very specifically non-exploding tungsten rods?
Yeah. All the satellites just explode when you hit don't launch.
Maybe that was the finally the kickback from the EMP of all those nuclear weapons exploding.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Anyway, yeah, enjoyable. I skipped the first one. Go ahead and watch this one. You might enjoy it.
Yeah. Delightful.
Megan! Do we need a story?
Yes, Amber. So, Amber, this past week, Abby and Maddie got to hang out with Sneha and a couple other kiddos about that same age. And apparently, they did such a great job just like hanging out and playing with each other that the grown-ups got to, like, for the most part, just hang out and be like, yeah, good job. Do you want some water? Here's an icy. And they ran as a pack of adorable 5-year-old children being adorable. It's not a specific story, but it's just adorable to think about. And I'm really glad that Abby and Sneha got to hang out with each other again.
The pandemic has kept them apart for far too long.
Far too long.
And it is nice that they have reached the age of self-sufficiency and things didn't devolve into crying or anarchy. Adults just got to adult while the kids got to kid. That's beautiful.
Yeah, crying seemed to not happen. It's unclear if anarchy happened or not, but it was not anarchy that,
it was quiet and safe enough.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Exactly.
The right kind of anarchy.
Yay. Amber, do you have a recommendation?
I do. Thank you for asking. I mean, really, you're welcome for asking, because I often give you such wonderful nuggets of gold to watch. Like, Don't Trust the Bee. We actually restarted watching that.
We did. We had to.
It's been too long, and we hadn't revisited it in far too much time to be completely sure that there weren't some awful things lurking in it that we did not remember.
Yeah.
So far, it's holding up. There's some stuff, but...
There's some stuff, but it's not terrible, which is always the worry from a older show.
And the good is still good.
This good is still very good and very amusing.
So, that being said, proof of concept, Megan, I would like to recommend The Princess.
Ah, yes.
It is a very recently released movie. You can stream it on the Hulu. I turned on Hulu, and it showed me this picture of this fucking woman just serving me fierceness while holding a sword, and it says a beautiful, strong-willed princess refuses to wed the sociopath to whom she is betrothed and is kidnapped and locked in a tower. With her vindictive suitor intent on taking her father's throne, she must protect her family and save the kingdom. Yeah, I'll watch that. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Who's the director? Lee Van Kiet? Wait, isn't that the person who did Fury, the Vietnamese movie that stars the woman being awesome? That I still need to see and I haven't yet? Wait. Okay, now I have to watch this movie, and I have to make Megan watch this movie. And so we watched this movie. The beginning of it made me so excited and happy in my heart space where the violence goes. It is very violent, but not... I feel like The Boys is attempting to be excessive and almost fetishistic about its violence and gore. The princess does what it needs to do. Because you're working with swords and maces and shit. There's gonna be blood spray. It's gonna be visceral. It's rated R. But it is not going for gross out or shock factor, necessarily. It's just doing what it's doing, and it's brutal, is what it's doing. The story is pretty simple and kind of silly. It's serviceable.
Nothing, yeah.
Does what it needs to
fine.
do. The dialogue does what it needs to do.
Sure.
It is
not fantastic, but not terrible.
It is 90 minutes long. So it gets in, gets out. I would say the first half of it delights me. Opening scene, fucking great. Some of the lines, silly, ridiculous, and groan-inducing. Some of them kind of made me smile.
Really good, yeah.
The acting is and it kind of sputters a little bit at the end, but kept my attention and kept me going and kept me invested. And the beginning more than made up for any trips and falls.
Yeah.
A lot of pitfalls that happen in movies didn't happen. It's a movie made by women, with women, for women. It is, and it does what it needs to do. And it's the reviews are poor enough that we actually might wind up doing it. So this is actually a warning to anybody, all of our many, many listeners. Watch it before we do the episode so we don't ruin things for you, because it's fun.
Yeah, it's delightful.
Don't expect anything too great, but it's good. It's solid as hell.
Yep.
The Princess on Hulu. Watch it.
Yeah. Excellent. And I'm going to go with a quick Amber got it right.
Ooh.
For suggesting we watch that together. And I will just say very quickly, Daredevil, the show, which I feel like I recommended a long time ago. Anyway, it's back. It's on Disney Plus now. You can watch the Daredevil show there. This has the double crossover here. Amber, actually, no. Well, anyway, I guess it's just a little young. I was thinking, Don't Trust the Bee.
Oh, Christian Ritter.
But that's Jessica Jones, which is also very good.
And the Defenders. Anyway, there's a little.
And I guess there is. Yeah. Oh, that was so bad. Anyway, but the Daredevil series, there's a new one in development for Disney Plus. Allegedly, it's gonna keep Charlie Cox as the Daredevil, which is
he's a great Daredevil.
The correct thing to do.
That is the only thing to do.
Yeah. So anyway, delightful. You should watch it. That's all I'll say. Anyway, that's all.
Delightful. Megan, good work. Happy to be here. Happy to see you again. See you again soon. A good day to you.
Thank you, Amber. And I will say to you, just to wrap this up, like I always do, just remember, Amber, that if you are Zartan, Cobra Commander will remind you that you can't forget who put you in the White House. And Firefly will remind you you can't also forget the rock you crawled out from.
What? What do you expect me to do with that?
I mean, absolutely nothing, Amber.
What do you...
It barely makes sense coming out of my mouth.
So he was... Don't remember who put you here, and also don't remember the rock you crawled out of.
Yeah, that was
don't
Fireflies.
Forget. Don't forget who put you here, and don't forget the rock you crawled out of.
Yeah, Firefly was just really doubling down on Cobra Commander's jibe.
Like, you didn't get here on your own, and also you crawled out of rocks.
Yeah.
So
I
drive around on an exploding rocket motorcycle. You crawl out of rocks.
Yeah. Well, right at that point, Zartan fired back, "Hey, Firefly, do you even have all 10 fingers still?"
He did, actually, and he flipped him off with one of them.
And then he flipped him off, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do I like this movie? You're making me think I don't like this movie.
No, Amber, you're confusing it. You don't like me right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, you got your stank all over it, and now I'm confused. It's okay. I'll recalibrate after I leave this space, which I'm going to do right now.
Excellent. Bye, Amber.
Bye, Megan.